play the game and they play it to win and always are self-critical of themselves. And they're both playing right now. Game number 1 is getting underway. Kaldi versus Kranich. This is the biggest match of this tiebreaker series so far.
Yep, and we're seeing Rogue right away from Kranich here, and Kaldi, he's bringing Grim Patron.
Not a surprise at this point. You know, but when the matches count for this much, and you've been seeing players play at the top of their game, play the decks that are the best.
Yeah, I love seeing Kranich's hair is like all over the place because he just keeps running his hands through it because he's got so much writing on every single card.
Yeah, you can feel the stress. I mean, just looking at his face, you can tell he's composed, he's thinking clearly, but cannot be physically comfortable, I don't think, because of what's going on.
Oh yeah, the stress on these players, it's palpable from this match. You could feel it.
Preparation picked up a pretty darn good one. You know, usually Preparation is one of those cards where you look at a hand and you go, I need to couple this with something. But when he's got Pilot Shredder and Violet Teacher, the potential now is just unlocked by any spell that does something.
Yeah, I mean, he's got all kinds of things that he can do with pretty much any draw, except for that one's not very good.
Well, we say it's not very good right now, but still potential for some scary things to happen. You know, he's got 2 of the better minions, I would say, in this matchup. And Preparations, again, can always buy you some key tempo.
Also, this game generally goes long. You know, they can survive through, you know, some Grim Patron shenanigans and then actually wipe the board pretty easily from there. This is a matchup that's very interesting to me, actually.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kranich looks like he's rocking out a little bit.
Yeah, I think it depends on the pilot of the Rogue deck, how good they are with their deck. I think it actually can be somewhat in their favor if they really know this matchup well.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching Purple play this match.
So we're going to find out exactly where he wants to go with this. Deadly Poison picked up. It's the reason he's attacking this Armor Smith. Wants to set it up to die next turn. But Kaldi's hand continues. You know, the second Death Spite's a little bit much, but still a very strong hand. You know, one of the big points against Rogue is being able to just handle all their minions.
Yeah, and you know what? He already has a bunch of the cards that he needs. He's got a Death Spite, he's got a Grim Patron, he's got an Emperor Thorson. He only needs to pick up 1 or 2 more cards here, and he's going to be firing on all cylinders for the rest of this game.
Yeah, Kranich is going to go ahead and prep this Deadly Poison. So Kaldi going to be able to meet this with a Death Spite, but this is quite a bit of damage he's going to be taking in the next couple turns.
Yeah, this is the kind of turn that Kranich needed to have. He needs to have huge tempo turns here that Kaldi can't deal with early. If Kaldi's having to focus on not dying in the early parts of the game, he's never actually getting forward in the game and trying to kill Kranich.
Yep. So he's going to attack the Violet Teacher, wants to set up as much as he can. Understands he can just pay the life right now. It's not that big of a deal to him, and I can guarantee you this Azure Drake is not hitting the board this turn.
Yeah, you don't want to give him a very good attack from this, this Death Spite.
It's hard to not give him a good attack. Your board's already pretty much set up for this. But I don't mind Pilot Shredder here. I think it'd be totally fine.
Kranich actually thought about the Azure Drake for a second. Maybe he's just, you know, thumbing over it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's worth considering at least, but, you know, it's not going to be hitting the board at the end of the day.
Picks up a War Song Commander, too. I mean, this turn can be pretty good for Kaldi. He can coin out this Emperor Thorson and start to alleviate the pressure that's going on in his hand here.
Yeah, this drop matters a ton right now.
Oh boy.
No.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Now that might look like a 1-3, but it's in the Rogue deck, that's actually like a 10-3.
You hit the nail on the head. This could be disaster for Kaldi.
I've seen a Rogue game happen with this card before where it had like 16 power.
I mean, fortunately for Kaldi, Kranich cannot just go nuts with this card right now.
But he can answer this Emperor Thorson this turn and force Kaldi to have to do something about this mana addict because it's going to get out of control.
The fact that a Pilot Shredder drop and a backstab is putting this kind of pressure on, that's really the big story here. I mean, Kaldi's basically committed to killing this with a weapon right now.
Yeah, and his hand's actually pretty good against Lotheb as well. You know, sometimes you see Lotheb actually be very good against the Grim Patron deck, which is weird since it's a minion and weapon-centric deck, but it relies on stuff like Battle Rage, in Inner Rage, you know, and Whirlwind, these really cheap spells to utilize and have huge turns, and they need them to be so good. You know, if you make them cost 6 mana in a turn or 7 mana in a turn, they just can't keep up.
Yeah, Kaldi's going to go with Armor Smith here.
I think he's welcoming the Armor Smith to get run over here by Kranich. I don't think he wants to take 5 here.
Yeah, this is wow. I'm actually surprised that Kranich goes with the Azure Drake here instead of going with the Tinker Sharpsword Oil.
Yeah, he could have just pushed a ton of damage here.
Instead, he's very concerned with keeping everything under control right now.
Ooh, Kaldi can actually push for he could make some pretty good board states here if he wants to. And you're going to see him take his time this turn. With War Song Commander, Unstable Ghoul, Grim Patron, and Frothing Berserker, there's a lot of different lines you could take here. And Kranich is only at 22.
Yeah, we say only.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Only is the operative word here because, you know, we've seen disgusting things comes out of this deck. I mean, who could forget the Shades moment earlier in the season from Kaldi?
36 points of damage, I think it was in one turn.
Yeah, no board, 36 you. Oh, you remember the days in Hearthstone when you'd be at 30 and they don't have a board and you were safe? Those don't happen anymore.
I remember Leroy Jenkins is what I remember.
Pepperidge Farm remembers? It sounds like one of those commercials.
Leroy. You're like, no.
Yeah, that was like the first real deck I played in Hearthstone was the Miracle deck, and I was like, man, this is great.
Oh yeah, it was totally great. Kaldi is going to go with Grim Patron here, and I can't blame him. You know, this I feel like he's got a pretty clear image of what Kranich's hand is right now. Not a ton of utility because of the way that he is invested into board states.
Yeah, he's also going to take care of the Azure Drake here, just as, you know, hedging his bets a little bit. Don't want to let that guy sit around on Kranich's side of the board because the extra spell damage, pretty big.
Yeah, and 6 points of damage. Second Azure Drake. Blade Flurry, Eviscerate. So still not quite out of this. Is it going to be able to handle the Warsong Commander? Can play an Earthring Farseer to heal up for a little bit. And again, a Blade Flurry could turn this game right back around. Kaldi still has to take care of what's happening on board.
Yeah, I mean, he could take care of the Warsong Commander here. He can even prep out this Eviscerate if he really wants to here to make sure this board is like in check. Depends on how much he wants to play around, or if he thinks he needs this Eviscerate to try to actually win the game.
That's what I'm looking at too, is that there are a couple draws in Kranich's deck I think that give him the potential to reach for the win.
Right.
And so because of that, let Kaldi be the one doing the trading if that's going to be the case.
Kaldi's going to draw 2 cards here off of Battle Rage. Only 2 cards.
Yeah, only 2.
Slam picks up here. He can start to churn through his deck a ton here if he wants to.
Yeah, he's going to be able to handle the board.
Does he want to get a Frothing Berserker in play first here, though? I think he doesn't, because the way his board is going to play out here, the only way I think he can lose from here or have his board really get handled is a big Blade Flurry. You don't want the Frothing Berserker to get caught up in that.
That's exactly what I'm looking at too. I'm not really seeing a situation where he loses control of the board. You know, Fan of Knives isn't very good right now. Even if he's got Blade Flurry, he's got to couple it with something.
He still gets over half of Kranich's life total here as well.
Yeah, that's another big one. You're also only dealing 9.
Yep. The South Sea deck can get him there this turn.
Not even close. Perhaps Sprint, however, might be able to give him the gas he needs.
Well, he's got to answer a lot of things here. There's a Blade Flurry.
Doesn't have a deadly poison, though. And now the heat has turned up a little bit.
All right, so he has an SI7 agent and an Eviscerate here if he wants to try to take care of the board that way. Kaldi doesn't have any charge damage out of his hand.
Kaldi needs 2 damage.
Yeah.
Kill him at that point. Inner Rage is going to kill him. Cruel Taskmaster.
Yep. I mean, what can you do? You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And sapping a Grim Patron just gives him like a 3rd copy in his hand now.
Perfect. Yeah. So still not out of it. Kaldi needs to draw a little bit extra damage here, but Kranich cannot feel comfortable about his position.
Also, with this situation, if Kaldi can't kill him this turn, he has to take care of the SI7 agent because it's so dangerous it might kill him. I mean, there's a lot of ways for Kranich to do 15 damage, 1/3/3 in play.
I mean, Kaldi's hand actually in this situation is pretty darn dead.
Yep. It's actually really like not that great from this situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of hand where Kaldi could lose this game.
Yeah, it's very possible. He has to take care of the SI7 agent.
Yeah, no question about it. With the Whirlwind, I think that's what he's doing. I think he wants to just get a fortified board state, take care of this SI7 agent. I don't think he wants to put 3 damage on himself right now. I mean, he may want to. You know, he's still going to be at 14, but you're not always safe against Rogue at 14 life. This is another deck that has giant amounts of burst.
Yeah, I think what he's doing here is doing math about South Sea Deckhand if he can die to that. If he doesn't think he can die to South Sea Deckhand this turn, then you'll see him use it as a weapon. If it's possible, then he's going to take the safe line and just trade off his minion here.
Going with Frothing Berserker. And is that enough? 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think Kranich is lethal. Yeah, Kranich is lethal this turn. Dagger up, Tinker Sharp Sword Oil attack, Blade Flurry, Eviscerate. He's going to game number 2 with a 1-0 lead. Kaldi, a minor misstep, cost him this game.
Yeah, just maybe he should have just armored up this turn.
I mean, we've seen it all season long now. 2 armor has been making a difference constantly with these Grim Patron decks.
Yeah, I mean, how much does the Frothing Berserker get you in that turn? You know, you're still going to have your whole board die to a Blade Flurry, but now you're letting yourself die to the Blade Flurry.
That's really the problem I have with this play, is that you're dying to a combination of cards that Kranich has not shown you any range of yet.